Yes, guys, welcome back to the Natural Physique podcast. So this is episode two. I still need to get used to saying that instead of once you're in. This is episode two, and by this point, we're about to launch the hub. So for those of you who are listening to this now, hopefully you've sort of had a bit of a play around on it and seen what we've added to it. And as we've said, we're just going to keep adding more and more to it. And this is kind of, the second episode on this is still us just having a bit of a chat, you guys getting to know us a little bit more. And this episode, I haven't told the boys what it's going to be, but basically, I just want to know like why they got into training, why they got into bodybuilding, like what their sort of why is. Because on the educational series, my first episode on the contest prep series, it included sort of like, are you actually ready to prep? And one of those sort of subsections was like, what is your why? Why are you actually doing this? So I feel like that's something good to delve into because I obviously know to a decent extent for all of you based on coaching you, but I'm sure there'll still be things that even I learn from this. And then your guys, your clients will probably get to know you a bit more and also probably resonate with you a lot more because like the amount of times that I'll say like why I got into this and it's very, very similar for like so many people. So, I mean, anybody can go first. If it's like an alcohol anonymous, like stand up and say. So, I mean, go ahead, have a bit of a chat between yourselves. Who wants to start?
Right, go for it. Mine's a bit depressive. One of you can
Yeah,
fucking
well,
take
that's
the
why
lead,
I
mate.
said before we started, I said it
Oh,
might get
Yeah,
quite deep.
when we start light-hearted because mine's pretty like
yeah.
chilled out,
But
then we'll dive down. It's like the mad iceberg photo. Where you go down and nose is like the bottom.
I'm fucking rock
Uh,
bottom. Nice.
like, don't go there. But no, mine. There's not too much to mine to be fair. Like I was always really skinny to be fair, like really skinny in school. Like would get kind of like slagged for that. There's a photo of my legs next to one of my mates, and like it was horrific, absolutely teeny, like probably around like the 45 to 50 kg mark when I was like 14, 15 year olds. Um, I was always pretty like sportsy, athletic, really competitive in that sense. I think it's because my brother and my dad like are both good at sports and like we would all egg each other on. So like I wanted to be good at something, but I never really found it. Like just like most, kids, teenagers, whatever it may be. What sports did you do? I done a bit of scootering, done a bit of football, golf, everything.
Football. I was
football,
rugby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Finn was
you were,
supposedly nasty at football. I've seen rugby.
mate, yeah. Well, no, Matt,
No,
you were supposed to be good at rugby, weren't
I wouldn't say I was that good. Like, I was decent. Yeah, I was decent, but I was never like at a high level or anything.
Hit people with your left quad, just running into that.
Yeah.
Take them out. Mate, I seen that in the front relax photo. I was like, holy shit, there's a tumor on the outside of your
It's
leg.
your left
I
quad
know.
that's the shit one, right?
Or sorry, your right quads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, the left's a shit one. The right's
The
actually decent.
left one's awful. And
The left one's
the left one's
non-existent.
like any of ours normal left, and the right one's just
Uh,
fucking mint. Like, so it's not that
yeah.
bad.
Maybe like
So
four
yeah,
of those put
Josh,
together.
Josh, you play like you're good at very well from my experience. You're very good at golf, but I don't know. Like, obviously, I've just seen you at the driving range.
Yeah, like I mean, I can hit the ball pretty far. That's my like trick, but I'm not actually very good at the
Yeah,
scoring well anymore. I used to be pretty decent. Like I played for technically like my county, like Noah will know, like Renfrewshire, so like quite a big area. I played for them. Didn't technically play for them, but like I was practicing to be with them in that team and stuff like that. Stopped playing that maybe like 13, 14 years old. Um, Everyone thought it's because I was getting the piss ripped out of me in school for playing golf because everyone thought it was a bit gay and posh and this and that. But realistically, I just kind of fell out of love with it. Like Saturday and Sunday, it'd be pissing down, raining, like cold, freezing. I just didn't want to play golf twice a day when I was a teenager. Like I wanted to just sit and lie in bed. You had to get up at 7 a.m., so on and so forth. So, golf for a good bit, and then kind of 14, 15 year olds, my competitiveness went into Fortnite. Incredible. Noah's going to start giggling here. This
no,
is
this
the
is good.
funniest shit ever.
Carry on this story.
I remember we were driving, or sorry, we were on the train back up from one of the shows. I don't know what one it was. And I told Noah about this for the first time that I competed in Stamford Bridge, in a Fortnite tournament. And Noah just lost it completely. I've never heard anyone laugh so loud in my life. The whole train was like looking at us. Noah found it fucking hilarious.
There's a video on your phone of us just
Yeah, yeah.
fucking
I'm in
skewing up,
like full
pissing
on
ourselves
tears.
laughing.
You're going. It got to a point where like he couldn't breathe anymore. But yeah, like I didn't do much from like a sports perspective. Maybe 14-year-old, 15-year-old, like late 15s when I started training because that's when lockdown came around. So that was like kind of March, April, May 2020. My brother and his mate were starting to get into the gym. They bought like weights off of some dodgy Polish guy, dodgy weights. Like we had like a 2.5 kg bar, like an actual kind of not an Olympic bar, obviously, but to put your weights on the end. But then we had like 180 kg worth of plates, so the bar was like constantly over time just getting like more bent, more bent, and more bent. But I started training in lockdown 2020. Like that was me in my Zizbra era. Were
Yeah.
you about Finn's hit unk status? He was there at
Thanks.
the time. Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably younger than me, mate. He's about
Yeah.
my age.
You were there in real time, but yeah, Ziz, absolute incredible time to be alive. That was me hard style bench PRs like every 2 3 days. We had the setup in my man cave is what we called it at the time, a man cave, and that had a squat rack which we made from cement buckets, with like big wooden poles coming out them. I trained in there for like a good while. Then the gyms opened back up, started training not more often because I was like really consistent with it. I started posting on TikTok at that time as well. So I built my TikTok following up to like 20K, because I was just posting like daft like gym content, kind of like relatable stuff, a bit of like physique stuff here and there. Because I responded pretty well. Like I went from what I think was about like high 40s, maybe like 48, 49 kg to like 70 kg within that first year. But I was still like relatively lean. Gyms opened back up, started training in pro life. I was kind of like surrounded by people that trained like a little bit harder. It was like no, I will know now. Like it's very commercial nowadays, but back then
Yeah.
it was like really bodybuilding focused. And it was just like kind of big guys that trained there. So I was like, this is pretty cool. Thought about doing powerlifting because the gym that I had in my little kind of man cave, it was just like a barbell with plates and stuff. The main things that I was doing was bench, squat, and deadlift. So I was actually thinking about competing in powerlifting. I was very close to like kind of full committing to that. And I was like, I can't be fucked. And I also was like, my lower back was just goosed all the time. Like from hinging twice a week and then squatting and then like bench with the arch as well. Like my lower back was constantly cooked, so I was like, I can't do this. As Finn knows, like my recovery capabilities are absolutely awful. I'm like a bar of chocolate, but yeah, I ended up thinking I didn't even maybe think about maybe bodybuilding. Like, I literally got myself a coach, Cruz, who at the time was brilliant. Like for what I was kind of wanting, just to take things a little bit more serious, have a little bit more structure. But then, funnily enough, I started listening to the Once You're in Your Own podcast. One of my mates,
How did you find that? Yeah, go on. Sorry.
yeah, so one of my mates, Marty, he was my first client ever. So Marty was like on the heavier side, and I was helping him like diet down, and I was training with him, so on and so forth. And he was like, "If you listen to this podcast," and I was like, "No, I've got no clue what it is." And he was like, "Once you're in, you're in." So I started listening to that, um, and that was like really early on. To be fair, like it was, what was it when Reese competed, like the first time or something?
2021 was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah,
We
like I
started
was an OG
2020 and
listener.
then we started it. We started it, I think, after I had competed. Not
Yeah,
long
like it
before we.
was. I remember all the OG stuff, like the mad foreign guy that would always tell you like stories or something. What was
That was
his
his
name?
name.
I can't remember. Yeah, it was really really good, and I
So
learned a lot
funny.
from that. I liked you and Reese. Um, did we tell the story? I think we did tell the story about me
We told it
messaging
last
you last
week.
podcast. Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
this works well. I was like thinking of who to inquire with between you and Reese. And then that happened. I was like, I can never speak to Reese again. So I'm inquiring with Finn. Um, so I inquired with you. We got started up, and I realized that like there was a lot more that I could be doing. Like my training was pretty shit. Like I wasn't really on the ball. I was like, yeah, it's been a really bad first 3 weeks, but I'm just gonna make it better and this and that. And I was like making excuses. And I was like, realistically, I just need to fucking get my finger at Mars here. So I done that. And I was like, when I started with you, I was like, oh, I'd maybe like to compete. And then like on that starter video, you set out that like this is when we're competing, this is the rough like map, and I was like, ooh, like actually doing it. And then obviously since then competed, came back out of that. Haven't really moved forward too much. I got a bit bigger, haven't I? But just
Yeah,
binging and stuff.
yeah.
And now
You
here
made
we
some
are.
really good progress, like directly post show, like ridiculously good progress. And then as soon as you get like to, I'm not going to say as soon as you get above 80 kilos, but as soon as you get a bit uncomfortable, obviously your body just doesn't really agree with it. So, and then I think as well, like with how busy you've gotten with work, it's just like a big transitional period for you because you've never had to deal with this much workload and then the stress that comes with that. The split change has helped a lot though, hasn't it? Like I honestly think that has helped a lot. I know you didn't really want to do it, and even I was a bit like, I know you don't want to do it, and it's a bit
Still
annoying
struggle
having
with it.
to, huh?
I still struggle with it. The issue
Yeah,
is
mate,
like
I do.
stuff like
Like
this,
I
like
tried
trying to
it.
plan it
I
in.
did it for a bit. So the split we're on about, guys, was pull, push, off, legs off. So basically, it's like a 5 day rotation, and you end up obviously having different rest days every week. And I've tried it, and I like it as a split, but the social aspect of it and the work aspect of it is very stressful. Like
Yeah, it's
not
difficult.
knowing unless you really work it out which days you can do what and which days are going to be busier checking days based on work and stuff. It is
And the
stressful.
problem is like if you miss one day just due to like circumstances, if you've planned out the next 3 weeks, throw
Yeah.
that out though because you've had to change it a little bit. So
But that's also can be a positive as well.
yeah, it
You'd
means
be
every day
like,
is kind of a bit
I can always
different.
move a
Like
day. Whereas if on a 5 day split across seven
yeah,
days, if you move a day or miss a day, the split's not really going to work. Well,
yeah.
you're
It's
going to
kind
end
of
up
like
having 4 or 5 days in a row or whatever.
doesn't feel like Groundhog Day all the time as well. Like I'm waking up, oh, it's a Monday, I'm training this and I'm doing this. Like it's nice to have that kind of
Yeah.
like structure, but like to kind of wake up and have a little bit of excitement of like what I'm actually training today. Obviously, I know what I've planned, but
No, but yeah, 100%. It is
it's like
like,
a little bit different.
yeah, there's more thought process to it.
But yeah,
So,
that's how I started training and all that jazz, I think.
so what would you say is your why now to
Um,
defend the Mr. Olympia title?
yeah, to go back, yeah, for the real Mr. Olympia title, because we didn't say that it was the natural one in the last one. So there we go. Sadly, I've
Oh,
announced
was
it.
it? I didn't know it was.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Actually, I'm Mr. Olympia. I beat Keon. I got a photo with him, to be fair, mind.
Yeah.
He's scary. But my why now, actually, it's hard to kind of like nail it down, but I do really enjoy training. Like when I do get ill or when I'm injured or so on and so forth, it kind of makes me realize like I really, really do enjoy this from like a mental health aspect as well. Like obviously it's annoying when I get ill and when I get injured from like a physical standpoint, but mentally, like because working pretty often, so on and so forth, if I don't have that training there, like it kind of messes me up mentally. So being able to go in to just enjoy my training, to apply myself, like I find it fun just improving myself pretty consistently, like thinking about what's going to come down the line if I continue to do this. But I feel like I would be a little bit lost, like without much purpose, without, bodybuilding, without coaching, I wouldn't really know what I was doing with my life. So having something to kind of keep me grounded, like my meals to eat, my training sessions to do, because realistically, if you listen to like your emotions and what you'd want to do, like in the moment, you wouldn't really do a great deal. And then look back in a year or two's time and I'd actually done nothing. Having all this stuff to kind of hold me accountable, I feel like it allows me to move forwards in life, to present more opportunities, to travel more, to make more money, to do loads of other stuff. So I feel like what I do right now, yes, it's difficult, but it keeps me moving forward. So I find that is probably my why, if that makes sense.
Nice, man. That's good. Noah, we're leaving you till last, yeah?
It looked like it. I don't want to say something in matches that they're like, oh well, I grew out a lot
Yeah,
more rugby, so I just moved into this.
yeah, how
Yeah,
am
well,
I
to be
supposed to
fair,
follow
we,
it?
we
Like,
never know. Like, we're saying that Noah's is going to be so bad. We might go to Matt now and it could be
That's
like,
whole family gone
yeah.
bad. It's
Matt's
all
like,
bloodline.
never told me all this horrible
Um,
stuff.
I'm
Right.
sunshine and rainbows.
What did you, so
uh,
what would you say your like reasoning to get into bodybuilding has been, Matt?
um, probably like a lot of other people, I just got into bodybuilding through sport. So like played rugby all my life, like started when I was maybe like 4 years old. My whole family's rugby mad. So I was like a pretty skillful player when I was younger. Um, but then it kind of got to a stage where my skill level was like I was like getting trials with like Ulster, the sort of local team. So I was like it was an even playing field in terms of skill level. Like I was with people who were as good, if not better. So the only way to sort of get or past them would be to be bigger. Because like rugby's it is a skill based sport, but like it's very physical. So like you could have somebody who's 6'6", awful, but they're good at running and they'll be a good player. So got into the gym through rugby, and I remember like my parents were kind of against weights, so they got me like the wee push up bars or like the shitty wee
I had
stand
them as
things.
well. Yeah.
I had those. I had a fucking grip thing, and
Oh,
I
it
had a
is.
pull-up bar. So
Cool.
those were like the only things I had.
How
So I
old were
just
you at
started
this
doing.
point?
I was probably between 12 and 14, I think.
Yeah.
So I'd do those sort of things.
Did you have
Um,
to get permission to have protein powder or creatine? Because I had.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I wasn't allowed creatine.
well,
I
Um,
used to. Oh,
go
you
on.
go. I was gonna say I used to have to. I mean, I got caught and I shit myself as well. I bought. It was such a strong pre-workout. To be fair, probably shouldn't have been having it. Rich Piana's 5150. It
oh, I've
had
heard a lot.
375 milligrams of caffeine per scoop or something. And before my sessions, my hard style Ziz sessions, I would sneak off into my bathroom, literally right there, and I have like a bit of paper that I keep under my bed, and that was my funnel. So I'd slide that and get a wee scoop of that, and it was like toxic green. I'd fucking slam that down me. And then my mum goes in to use the toilet at one point, and I'd left the bit of paper with the funnel and like all the chemicals. She thought I'm doing hard drugs or something. Like, mum,
Just a
pre-workout.
rolled up bit of paper
Yeah.
and powder on it.
Yeah, well, you would
Yeah, I
be
had to
like
have
as
like
a
a
parent when you, especially
yeah,
like, you've got to remember, like, our parents would literally, they're just older versions of us. Like, if they didn't train when they were younger, like, they won't have a clue what a pre-workout is. You know what I mean? So then they'll see it and like, what the fuck is that? Like, what is my kid doing, basically? But yeah, like I used to get the massive like 5 kilo my protein bags of protein. Um, Not Fin 10 guys back then. It wasn't. It was I'd literally have to pay however much it was. I didn't even have any discount codes.
but it was super cheap though. Like
Yeah.
way
It
too
was
cheap.
back in the day.
It was
It's
like
not anymore.
15
Like
pound
mega
or
cheap.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like if you got a flavor that you didn't like, which I used to quite a lot because most of them are shit, I would
Yeah.
just have to like bear with it for 5 months or however long I'd have it for, like throw it up into the bag. Um, but yeah, and then like creatine and stuff. And like I remember like my mum and dad were always like, don't think this is good for you. Like, surely this can't be good for you. And like, especially when I started making progress, like they were
Yeah.
like scared of it. They were like, what's going on? Like seeing me grow, they were like, I don't know if this is good for you. Like, it's crazy, isn't
Yeah.
it? How if and
It
I always
is.
say this to my clients, like who some I've had clients a few times say like, oh, my mum and dad are saying this, or someone's saying this. I always say like, if I was to listen to my mum and dad when I first started, I wouldn't have carried on. What would I be doing now? Like, I could still be like, I don't know, like working at Next, not enjoying my life or, not having what we've got here and things like that. Like, if I'd have just listened to my mum and dad, who, because it was a bit different,
It's
it
just the
was like
safest
frowned
option.
upon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're just going to
Mm.
tell you to go for the safest option. It's the same with me. With like, mum was like, "No, you need to go to university," and I was like, "No." And then she was like, "You need to go to university to help your coaching." I was like, "Trust me, it's not going to help." And
Didn't we have like loads of conversations about
I had to get you to like send the voice note to my mum or like say like, "Hi, Pauline, obviously Finn here. Like, there's no point in Josh going to university. This and that." Like, you had to convince her as well, and
I
I was like,
definitely didn't say it like that though. I remember it being like it's your decision, but I'll send a voice
"I
note
was
like what I think. I never was like, "Hi, Pauline, do not let your
yeah, get her
oh,
nuts in me." Oh,
listen
yeah,
to
yeah,
me, the person you've never met."
yeah.
No,
Nah, but
I
she
remember
can
just
trust
being
me.
like, from a
She was
coaching standpoint,
yeah,
doesn't need to go to uni if he wants to pursue coaching.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry, Matt, carry on.
yeah.
So
Sorry.
you were 13 years old doing press ups on the things the bars that you bought.
Yeah, and then I was like, right, I need to actually do some proper weights. So what I used to do was I know other people who have done this, but I don't know if you guys did it. I used to get like suitcases or like rucksacks and like fill water bottles up and chuck them in to make it like weight. And I remember I used to like grab the ends of like a suitcase and do like RDLs and shit and
Thought
like
you were
lie
going
on
to
the
say
floor doing like
laterals. I was going to be like, no wonder you're
no
sad.
mate,
Good.
no. So I used to do this and then I think my parents found out and they were like, this isn't safe. If you're going to do it, you do it right. Like, so they bought me like, the adjustable dumbbells where it's like one dumbbell,
Yeah.
you like
Always
twist the
wanted
dial.
them. Yeah, yeah.
So they were actually really, really
They
good.
went
So
like extortionate in lockdown, didn't they? They went like
yeah,
100 quid a
So
pair.
expensive.
uh-huh. Um, so I got those and then I just started doing my own thing in my bedroom. But like I thought like when I started going to the gym for rugby, I was like, I need to get bigger. Or I need to train like a bodybuilder. The only bodybuilder I know is Arnold. So I immediately just started like doing what he was doing. So it's kind of cool how like
All that, yeah.
my first sort of exposure to bodybuilding was classic physique, and I just fell in love with it. Um, but yeah, I suppose like when I was younger as well, I always liked like wrestling and stuff, and they were obviously fucking huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's always kind of like been in my head. Oh, I want to look like that, even when I'm like 5, 6 years old watching them.
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, then started training a little bit. I trained more sort of like more properly at that point, but I still didn't have a clue what I was doing. Like I would just do stupid workouts in my room. I was doing 100 reps of like side raises. Like that I remember doing that. But I think even though it didn't really build muscle, it helped get a good connection, which in turn
It
allowed
always
me to grow more
say,
muscle.
like,
So
whatever you did as a kid is what you will have. Like, I'm convinced by it. Like, because anybody who's got a good back, like, oh yeah, I just used to do loads of pull-ups when I was younger. Like anybody who's
mhm,
got a good chest, like, oh, I just did press ups like before bed. Yeah, anybody who's got good arms, like, oh yeah, I had 10 kilo dumbbells at home. I just did curls every night. It's like it is like you say, it builds that foundation and that connection when you're young, and then it's almost like it's just becomes a genetically strong body part that you can connect well with easily because you've done it. Like it is literally just how many hours have you put in? If you imagine all that time that you trained when you were younger that you didn't think really was training because it was just like a bit of fun, that
mhm.
adds up to like 1,000 hours. And that's before you've even started training legs or started training this or that. Like it does make a big difference.
Yeah. So so yeah, I kept training in my room, and then I think I was about 15 when a couple of my mates started actually going to the gym. So I was like, you know what, I'll give this a go. And immediately they just like fell in love with it. And it was at this point I was starting to kind of lose the love for playing rugby as well. But it just got more and more difficult because like I was given the captaincy for the rugby team, but I couldn't just like sack it off because I wanted to go play gym. So I felt like pressured where I had to keep playing rugby, and obviously there's pressure from my parents to keep playing. And I just wasn't really enjoying it that much. And like it was at this time, this isn't like really dark, but it was just getting like more or like anxiety and social anxiety, which I don't really know where like what it was or like how it sort of happened, but it was just like an accumulative thing from probably like exam stress and stuff, like at school, you be like forcing myself to play rugby when I didn't really want to. But the gym was like the only thing that I really enjoyed. So I would like go to school, play or train rugby for an hour or two after, go home, eat, go to the gym for 3 hours. And that's like all I did. Um,
Gym
and
sessions
then
after school were incredible. See, like with your mates, you would
oh,
do
so
it
much
like
fun. Mhm.
unbelievable. Like you would literally finish school, walk to the train station, jump on the train, walk to the gym, fuck about for 3 hours just doing the most stupid shit ever. Go home, brilliant day. That was it. Rinse and repeat.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
a life. Unbelievable.
Mhm. Um, and yeah, I think then once I left school, didn't have any commitments to rugby, and was just like, I'm just going to train now. And then just started sort of following more and more bodybuilders, and I never really had in my head that I wanted to do a show, but I still wanted to look like a bodybuilder. So I just kept training to sort of be a bodybuilder. And then I think it was during lockdown, like lockdown ruined my head. Like the only thing that I had was the gym and FIFA. Like I used to get up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, go for a walk, which was good, I suppose. And then I would play FIFA until I think about 11 o'clock at night, train for 2 hours until one, and then play FIFA until six. And that's what my life was for what, a year.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I suppose that just kind of made me love the gym even more because, I missed it so much. And I probably did made like a decent amount of progress over lockdown, but my diet was awful. I was eating like 8 eggs for breakfast. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing, but yeah, just kept training, and then coming out of lockdown, I made the fitness account. Then my first coach messaged me asking
You can
if
say
he
who it
could coach
was.
me. Can I say his name? I don't know if I can.
Yeah, of course you
I
can.
don't
Yeah.
know who this is and I don't know the story. I don't know if you can get into it on here or what, but
Yeah, of course.
So his name
This
is
is a
Jack
private
Piad.
podcast. We can say whatever.
Oh fuck
yeah,
yeah!
nobody's really going to see it unless
Right. So
snake in the grass.
he's called Jack Piad. He was a decent bodybuilder, or maybe he still is. But he
Josh,
was
you don't
like,
know Piat?
No, mate, not at all.
no way.
Not a single clue
No,
who
have
it
you?
is.
I
Because
only heard of it when Matt told me the story
That's
yeah,
crazy.
in Leeds.
because I went to
Mm.
figure out, like, I went onto his page to see, because I heard that he'd maybe got cancelled and, like, he'd done some fucked up shit, but he just looks like a normal only coach now. Like, there's no repercussions of it.
So the fact that you guys don't know him at all, that's pretty mental. So like basically like when I first got into like the bodybuilding scene, like the natural sort of coaches at that time that are at least like the up and coming people were AJ, Piad, and Thorburn.
Yeah,
And
exactly
then
the same as me.
George Osborne, like
Yeah.
that was like sort of he was being coached by AJ, and then I think I competed the year after George. Like, yeah, I think I did.
hmm
2019, yeah. So like when I first like was getting into it, obviously AJ was the pioneer as he still is, but like Piad was like his right hand man, wasn't he? Like they
Yeah,
trained
he was on like he
together.
was
They
loads
were
of
like
the
best mates.
podcasts and stuff.
Yeah, they were like best
The
mates back
Him
in
and
the day.
uh-huh.
AJ boys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Nice.
Like they
That's a good
trained
work.
together. They were both from or trained in Brighton. Like they were like boys. Anyway, so yeah, he messaged Matt.
so yeah, he messaged me, and like at first I was starstruck because, like Finn said, he was like one of the big up and coming coaches. Like he was pretty well known within like the UK natural bodybuilding scene. So at first I was like, "Whoa, like this is so cool." Piad's messaging me. He wants to coach me. This is unreal. But I guess the first warning sign was when he like he just asked me how much did I want to pay, and I was like in my head, like thinking back now anyway, he should have just said, "These are my prices. Can you do it? If not, can maybe drop it down a bit." But he was just immediately like, "You're really good. What do you want to pay?" But me being a little bit starstruck, I was just like, "I'll just whatever you offer." I can't remember how much it was, but it was just kind of like a normal sort of price. It wasn't anything outrageous. Um, but yeah, like I made a good amount of progress with him. Like that was the first time I properly started like living like a bodybuilder, where I was tracking all my food, all my steps, weighing myself every day, like all those kind of things. And I really enjoyed it, made a lot of progress. Um, but then there was just a couple of things like happened,
That's
and
to get
More,
your
there's
your
more than a couple, mate.
more than a couple. So like
All about
he
maybe a
was
couple of things with you, but there was a
yeah,
whole
with me
bunch
personally.
of
Uh-huh.
stuff.
So I think with me, he had messaged me saying something like it was in a check-in. He was like just being really weird about wanting to see like my glutes and stuff. Just yeah, like I suppose coaches can ask it, but it
The
was
way
just the
you
way he was
say
kind
it,
of doing
isn't
it.
it? Like if I had a client
Yeah.
who was
Uh-huh.
prepping and they weren't sending shots in trunks and they were getting closer to the show, I'd be like,
hmm
look, mate, we ideally need to be actually seeing the condition of your glutes because they're going to be shown on stage and they're
hmm
probably holding on to more fat than other areas.
all my
Like,
hmm
clients are gonna listen to this and go, it's not normal to do the naked. It's
yeah,
not
but
normal to
how was he asking you?
It
You
was
don't
just
have
it
to
was
be.
just I'm not doing like an impersonation, but it was just the way he was then. He was like, look, like he was like, I really need to see your glutes. Come on, like get your glutes out pretty much. Um And he would make comments about like how I look and stuff, but not like my physique, just like me. And they're just a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And then he would like be sending me pictures of him, like when he was competing when he was coaching me, and he would just send me a random photo of his arse, like completely shredded. And like it's just weird. It's just unusual. Like I wasn't like that kind of like close and matey with him.
Yeah.
So it's just a bit bizarre.
Nice arse, mate.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
like
I
how do you
love that.
reply
I
to that?
love
Like, yeah,
it.
it's like nice mate. Um but yeah, kept so I was with him for maybe 3, 4 months, I think. And then shit hit the fan for him. Like a whole load of stories just started coming out. I think there was Christian said something or put on a story. There was Bridgman
Everyone,
and
basically everybody called him out because there was loads of
yeah,
stories about him
He's a
being,
bit of like a nonce or like bit
yeah,
of,
like
a
I think it was,
sociopath.
yeah, there was a
Like
lot
he
of
was
stuff.
lying about having cancer and things like that.
just
He
one of
was
those
trying to get
guys.
girls round his apartment for like private sessions and
Yeah.
um
But he's still
for
cool.
all his clients were like completely different prices as
Still
well. Like some
coach.
people were being coached for free and stuff, and
No,
yeah, it was just
he still coaches now. He obviously jumped on anabolics, still
mm,
coaches. I actually had somebody apply like last year, when I was in Rhodes, like September.
Yeah.
They applied, and obviously I had a chat with them, and he literally just competed. And like, no offense to the guy, he wasn't ready to compete. Like, he was not at the level. Didn't get in shape, and I basically was just very honest with him and told him what the price was, and told him that he shouldn't have been competing and like what he needed to do. And he was like, he really appreciated it, but then he was like, oh, I just can't afford it. And I think he just carried on being coached by Pierre. And it's like, and he also knows everything as well. Obviously,
hmm
everybody knows now. I'd be very
Hmm.
surprised if somebody signs up with him who maybe now because it's died down, but
Yeah, because
How
I've got
many
no
years ago
clue.
was that?
This was 2022.
Oh shit,
Yeah,
right.
it's 2022.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
yeah,
like it's 10 years ago. Like,
yeah. Like, I just wasn't into bodybuilding that much. I
Yeah.
was technically just sitting playing Fortnite and eating and training. That was about all done. I didn't really know anything about bodybuilding at that point, so that's mad.
Mm.
so then you messaged me, I remember, because obviously
So
I had a few people message me from it.
yeah, so a load of people just started leaving him, and I think I took a little bit of time to think about it, and I was like, look, I can't stay with him. Like, if even though he could get me in shape and it could look pretty good, like if I go to shows and I'm representing him as well, so it's like guilty by association. So
Mm.
especially knowing all that kind of stuff as well, I was like, no, I just gotta leave. So I think it took about a week to think about it, and I'd heard of Finn, but I didn't really know an awful lot about you. But I'd listened to the podcast a
Yeah,
couple
I
of
think you said
times.
you watched my YouTube and stuff, didn't you?
Yeah, I'd seen you because I knew AJ, so I'd seen you come up a couple of times, and I knew that Jack Buff was coached by you. Shout out Jack Buff.
Yeah, so
So there
I'd
was kind of
competed at this point. I'd already competed.
uh
I competed in 2020.
So I knew you were prepping a couple of people, so I was like, look, he can do this. So I remember messaging you, or I think I just applied straight away, and then I'd said like, if you're happy enough to keep prepping me,
Yeah, I
unreal. But
think
if you don't want me
when you
to,
sent
then
photos through, and I was like, yeah, like you're in good nick. You weren't like peeled, but you were in a
no.
decent spot, and you could tell genetically. It's like, yeah, he's pretty good.
Uh-huh. So yeah, and then we just got started, and then just been a bodybuilder ever since, pretty much. Yeah.
It's funny to think like it's like the butterfly effect, isn't it? Like how all these
Yeah.
things happen. Like you say with Josh, like if you hadn't have messaged Reese, you then might have applied with Reese, and like if that hadn't have all happened with Piad, you might have stayed with Piad, and like we would have never got to where we all are
This
now.
wouldn't be a thing.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
wouldn't be a
that's
thing.
timing,
Like
isn't
we wouldn't have had the relationships that we've got. Like potentially, Josh wouldn't have had the results that he'd got, and like all that kind of stuff. Like it is weird how things just sometimes fall into place and sometimes don't. Like,
Mm.
but yeah, I remember when you applied, I remember thinking like, fucking hell, like this guy's got a lot of potential. Like you aesthetically, like you've got good shape and everything. I was like, and you weren't out of shape for. I think you came to me at like what, like 10 or 12 weeks out or something.
I think it was about 12. Yeah, I didn't have any shows set, but I think it was 12 weeks out from like the first one
Yeah.
that we
Done the
decided
Scottish
on.
one, didn't you?
Yeah, it was the UK DFBA Scotland. I think that was the last time that the
That's the
show
last
was
time I've
on.
ever done a Scottish UK
Yeah.
DFBS one.
I
That was
didn't know
Uh,
that.
that was when I nearly missed it.
Fuck yeah.
I remember
Do you
what was
guys know
that?
this story?
Yeah, I remember hearing about it on the podcast at one point, but I can't remember like the details of it.
Was
We
this the
was
one
on a lad's
you were in
holiday.
holiday? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You fell asleep
Well,
in
it
the
was
sun.
it was my best mate's stag do. That's who's literally I was just saying has been in a car crash.
Yeah.
He's all good though. Well, we think. Anyway, so yeah, like we were in Magaluf for my best mate's stag do, and I like this is literally me peak off season, right? Like, so I still,
Wow.
yeah, really really
You look
fat.
like a different person.
Yeah, I was huge though. Like I'm not even joking. I was like 235 pounds nearly. Like I was big. Like I was chatting to them today about it. They were like, "Fucking hell, mate, you were huge at that point." But obviously it was a lot of body fat. But yeah, I was drinking, but like not to the extent that they were. Like I'd drink water through the night as well, and like I always manage it well when I go out. Like I'm never one to black out drunk. I've done it when I was younger, and I just don't like it, so I'm not going to do it now. It doesn't coincide with my goals, and I'd get in at like so I'd stay out the latest because I was on Monsters, water, and then a few drinks, so I was fine. I had loads of energy, and I'd get in and I'd get straight on my laptop and I'd get back to Matt before I went to sleep. So
Yeah.
like I'd get in at like 5, I'd then stay up and wait for Matt to check in, and I'd get back to like any other messages and stuff. And like the thing is, like I wasn't ever drunk, but I also wasn't like completely sober. So like
No.
I'd be getting back to Matt and I'd be like, hey mate, and I'd like tell you, wouldn't I? I wasn't like, oh mate, I'd be like, mate, I've been out, but like I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like, so let's do this. And also, it was your first show. We weren't running any kind of crazy peak. We were literally just dropping fatigue and working food up. It was like a bit of a
Uh-huh.
limit load. It was pretty simple. And you look like, to be fair, you look better at that show than the BMBF. I should have done all your peaks
Mm.
that way.
I know, mate. Uh-huh.
And yeah, there was one time where like I got back to Matt and I just was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna crack on with check-ins. It was like 7 a.m. and I was like, I'm just gonna do everyone's check-ins. So I was just doing check-ins and I was like, again, I wasn't drunk, Like I was
Yeah.
fine. But I was tired. Like by this point, I was like, and I was doing check-ins, and I was like, I could feel myself like drifting off, and I was like, I can't do this. So I stopped, and I was like, right, I'm going to sleep. We went to sleep on like a sun lounger, and like it was so funny because like the people at the hotel or like the lads from on the holiday like came up to me at like midday because I'd be asleep on a sun lounger. They're like, "Oh, are you struggling?" I'm like, "No, like I'm absolutely sound. I was just working. I'd be falling asleep on my laptop." But then yeah, like obviously the night that I was flying back, I booked a hotel at the airport to then drive. So it was Leeds, Bradford, and I was going to drive from there to Scotland to see Matt the next day. He was competing, and it was all like planned. And I was like, yeah, sound. And then the flight got delayed. Like I think it was like 3, 4 hours. So I didn't get in. It was supposed to get in at like 10 at night. It didn't get into like 2, 3, something like that. And my alarm was at like half 5 or 6. So I should have been asleep at 11. I didn't get sleep until like half 3, and my alarm was at 6. And for some reason, like I don't know what happened because this never ever happens. I just didn't wake up. I either didn't set the alarm or I just slept through it. I don't know what happened. But I woke up like what, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours later than I should have done.
It wasn't like stupidly
No,
late.
no. But
No.
like I shit myself. Like this is one of my first ever clients on stage. Like I think I'd prepped by that point. I'd prepped
Slater,
Slater,
Sonny.
Sonny, Jack Buff,
No,
Miles.
Jack hadn't
No.
Jack
competed
wouldn't
at
have
that
competed,
point.
it was Slater.
Okay, so it was literally those two. So
Yeah,
not yeah, so not and obviously I'd competed myself. And Matt like looked great and everything, but I still want to be there. You know what I mean? Like, and then I was like, fuck. So I obviously messaged him and let him know. Like, I just said to him, mate, this has happened. Like, I'm really sorry. And I was, you don't want to stress someone out on a show day, so I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, I'll be there. Like, I was like, mate, I'm running really fucking late because I didn't get in until stupid o'clock. So I bombed it to Scotland. I had to fill up on the way as well. Bombed it there.
And the
And literally, like,
insignia.
yeah, no, what car was I in? Might have been.
it was the Insignia.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had the first one. You had that for ages, no?
Yeah, it was the first insignia. Um, got there and like, do you remember I ran upstairs and I saw you just before? Did I see you just before you went on?
I was about to go down and start pumping up, and you had just arrived in. Yeah, I think that's
I
what it
think
was.
I'm sure I ran upstairs and I like saw you and I was like, oh mate, like good to meet you. Let's
Yeah,
fucking go.
let's go, go.
And then I ran downstairs and Thorburn was there because his client Alex Stevens
Alex.
was against Matt. And then it was juniors, Matt versus Alex and another guy. Sorry, I can't remember the guy.
It was Ben Prentice's client.
Was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was quite good. He had a decent amount
he
of
was
muscle, but he
decent.
seemed to
Yeah,
be leaner. And yeah, obviously Matt won, which he deserved to win. Like Alex was bigger than him for sure, but like you posed way better. And we'd gone through so many posing sessions, hadn't we? Where we'd like been on FaceTime. And I remember
yeah.
Thorburn in the audience, and I said Thorburn was like, "Oh, Alex is posing." And I remember in my head, I was like, "That's your job." I was like, "You should have made him pose better." I was like, "I've been on calls with Matt every fucking week,
It
maybe
was
more
every Saturday morning.
to make sure his posing's spot on." Like, and I didn't say that to Thorburn. I was just like, yeah. And I was like, if Alex could have posed, he'd beat you. And he would. If he could have posed
100%.
properly and he had the posing fitness, he would have beaten you because he was bigger than you and condition was probably similar. But
Mhm.
your flow was better, your posing was better, and your endurance was way better. Like you weren't shaking at all. You went through multiple rounds and got better. He got worse. And like I felt like saying that to Thorburn, but I didn't because it was Thorburn. And at the time, Thorburn was like way ahead of me in regards to like coaching and bodybuilding and
Mhm.
stuff. It was like I can't say that to him. I was just like, yeah. But you deserve to win. And then you came second in your classic class, didn't you, to Greven?
Grevon.
Yeah, who was really
Mhm.
good. Um, and yeah, it was just a mint day. Like obviously I met you for the first time, I met your mum and dad, and like, we've got a photo from that day, which is like really cool to look back at. Like, but it was just a funny day because it was like I've never done that. You know what I mean? Like that's never happened to me to sleep through my alarm. Like, I was literally
Mhm.
throughout the whole holiday getting back to him at like 5, 6 a.m. And then
I
the
know
one
it was like
day
the
that
the
I had to
final
be
hurdle.
there,
You
it was
just
like, for
fucked it.
God's sake. But I
I
still did.
remember the photo as well because Matt's got a strange. I've noticed this as well. See, when you're doing your front relaxed on like the educational video, you get a strangely skinny neck, and
It's
Oh,
then
mate,
the, it's
when
the
the
it's
longest thing.
awful.
fin
It's
was so
awful.
fat, and I remember the photo. It's like
Yeah,
neck
yeah.
like 3 times the width of his. I was like, something's wrong here. I don't know if he's got a really skinny neck or his is really fat.
It's
I
the
know.
both, yeah, both.
Uh,
Right. Have you got anything else to add to your story, Matt?
what the
Just
just my
how you
life
got
story.
into it, yeah. How you got into it.
Well, I guess that's pretty much how I got into it. Why I've stuck at it, but just like my general sort of why that I do this. Um, First of all, I love bodybuilding. Like I just really, really enjoy it. But then also I think my mom and dad, like I'm an only child. So I'm like all their attention and focus and fucking hopes and dreams are just all in me. So part of me just doesn't want to be like a normal person. Like I want to, like I'm the only person who can carry the family name. So part of me is like, I need to fucking make a legacy. Like I need to achieve things really. And I know that even if I didn't do it, like they'd still obviously love me, and I'd still be their pride and joy and stuff. But it's cool to think about creating a legacy and being remembered, like, and people knowing who you are for things that you've worked so hard for. I think that's just what I really enjoy about it. Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah, it is
Hmm.
nice to see that. Your mum and dad are lovely, like, and you can see that obviously, like it would be for any parent, like your kids are your everything, aren't they? Like whether it's a single child or not, like I think your kids are just like once you have kids, it's your everything, and like you can really see that with your mum and dad, and they're so supportive. Like they are really, really.
Hmm.
Likewise, like obviously with all of your parents, like I remember Noah's mum messaged me like ages ago, and I didn't even know it was in my request for months. And I was like,
I
oh my
know my
God, I'm
name.
so sorry. Felt awful.
Brilliant, man.
Like I
Brilliant.
sort of realized who it was. I was like, oh my God, I've still not even met your mum. Like, it's
I
mental.
know, I know.
It's crazy, man.
Scotland trip up you will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 100%.
I'm gonna go for a quick pee, by the way. I'll be back in
Yeah,
2 seconds.
Sam.
I can't hold it anymore.
I'll go Noah because mine will be short, and then we'll go for yours. Yeah. No, I wanna know like yours more. Like I definitely do. Like mine is a little bit similar to Josh's and Matt's in terms of like I was really, really skinny as a kid. Like my mates and my dad still call me Skinny Finny. Like that's my name. My nickname is Skinny because I was just like really, really small. I was also like really short, like not crazy short, but like I was the smallest out of all my mates for years. Like, and I wouldn't say I ever got bullied because I didn't. Like I definitely didn't. But I definitely got like taken the piss out of for being smaller and skinnier, and I got thrown around. Like if we'd be like on holiday, I used to be the one that would get dunked in the pool like over and over and over until I couldn't fucking breathe.
Waterboarded.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, and at the time it was like I'd just get pissed off about it, but I couldn't do anything because I was so small and so weak. And like they were all just bigger than me. Like they all developed earlier than me. Like, I probably didn't go through puberty until I was like 15, 16. You know what I mean? Like by the point that like they'd all sort of like started through puberty, I was like nowhere near that. I was just small. I was like a tiny kid. So obviously I like got not bullied, but like almost like just like joked around with. Yeah, because like they're still my best mates now. But it's funny now because like they're all like, "Oh, I'd still have you. I'd still be able to dunk you in the pool," and I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." So basically, like I don't ever remember thinking, oh, because I'm small, I'm gonna get into the gym. Like I don't ever remember doing that, but I think it definitely played in my mind. Like, so when I was like 14, I think that kind of age, again, I was tiny still. Like the thing is as well, like I always like fancied girls that I couldn't get because I was just short. Like, so they'd always like be like, oh yeah, you just like, you're just too small. Like, and it'd be the same with like with football. Like every single club were like, oh yeah, we're looking at you, but you just need to grow. Like, the
Yeah.
clubs around here, like Scunny and Donny, Scunthorpe and Doncaster, um, they were like watching me and wanted me, but you're just too short, mate. And it's like, what the fuck can I do? I can't just grow like that. So that was always really like frustrating. Seeing other people like get trials or be playing for these teams at football when like, without being arrogant, I was better than them all. But like I was just short. So it was like, what am I supposed to do? So anyway, like one of my mates, Bry, who I'm still good mates with now, he started training before any of us and started like bulking up a bit and started like looking pretty good, and we were like he was a bit more confident, and maybe he was like getting some girls, and we were all like, fuck, like I want a bit of that. So like I then started training when I was like 14, and by this point, like I already had like abs. Like I always had abs. Like I was always lean. I always had abs. I always did things at home. Like, I'm in my office now, which is my dad's office, but this is my old bedroom. So like literally there where I'm looking now, my bed used to be here, and I used to do like sit-ups there, like 100 sit-ups. Like me and my sister would do like, I'll do 10, she does 10. I do 10, she does 10. Like we used to like do that, and like I used to love doing that. I always used to want to be like look. I always wanted to look good. I never wanted to be overweight. I always wanted to be fit and healthy. Like again with football, I used to do like cross country running. I was pretty good at that. I think I came like in the top 7 or something in the county when I was young at cross country. Like I always wanted to be fit and healthy. But I never wanted to be big. Like I never thought, oh, I want to be a big guy. Like, and I still don't have that in me now. Like some people just want to be the fucking biggest lad. Like I don't
Yeah.
have that in me. I like looking good and I like training and I like bodybuilding. I don't have that in me of like I just want to be fucking huge. Like, and I've never had that. But yeah, so like I went to the gym for probably 6 months, saw a bit of progress, but like not loads, like just newbie gains. But then I couldn't carry on because I couldn't afford it, and it was like too far for my mum to keep picking me up and taking me back because like the local transport around here is awful. There's like no buses past like 4 p.m. And even if you do, it's like 2 hours to get a fucking to wait for the next bus if you miss the bus and stuff. So I stopped training for probably a good like 3 years by that point, and I didn't really get back into it until I was like 18. So like at college and everything, like I didn't train. I was playing football at this point at a pretty good level. Like I was probably at my like peak football wise. And again, like in the back of my mind, it was like I'm good enough, like I could make it, but I just never did. Probably didn't put enough effort into it, to be honest. Um, I should have done because I do think if I had the mindset I have towards like bodybuilding and business now towards football when I was like between the ages of 14 and 17, I do think I could have made it not at a great level, but like non-league or like low level. Like I do think I could have made it.
Does
But
your
I'm kind of glad. Go on.
see your mate that Kyle Wooten or
Yeah.
Wotton something?
Yeah.
Were you like similar to him, like
No,
at
Kyle
like a
Kyle
young
was
age?
really fucking good, but again, a
Yeah.
lot of it was that he was big and strong and fast. Like, so he was technically probably better than me in some aspects, but like not others. But like, yeah, he was mint. Like, everyone was like, "Fucking hell, Kyle's good." But like after that, there was a lot of us that were pretty good. But like, I feel like I was probably up there with the other lads, but maybe better in a lot of aspects. But I was just small, so it was like, yeah. And then like I went to college. I was the captain at college for the 2 seasons that I was there. Um, and again, like I feel like I was probably the best player by a decent way, but like there was just something missing. It was like I was good, but like I was only good like 80, 90% of the time. I'd have the odd time where I just lost confidence and stuff. But anyway, I didn't get into football really. I kind of just went into training in my like gap year. So I went to college, played football, played at semi-pro level and played like decent. But then kind of was like I had a gap year and I was kind of already like losing love for it. Um, and that's when I really started training. So literally the gym that I've been at today I did arms, delts, abs and calves. That's where I like kind of first ever trained. So the gym that I said before was called Peak Physique. That was closed today. So the other gym was the leisure centre. And that was where I went from like the age of like probably around 18 while I was working at Next in the gap year. Trained really started making decent gains at that point. Like I'd see people at the leisure centre and they'd be like, "Oh shit, like you've grown." Or like I'd see like some of the like parents from football that hadn't seen me for 3, 4 years because I'd been playing in Brig, which is further away, like the not the local area. And they'd be like, "Oh shit, like you've grown." And like I had made some decent progress then, but even then, like this was when I was like buying the protein and the creatine and stuff. Still wasn't that into it. And I was 18. Yeah, like you think like what Josh has achieved like at 18, 19. I was kind of just getting into it, you know what I mean? Like properly at that point. And even then, I wouldn't say properly. Anyway, I got into Loughborough Uni, went there because I felt like I had to, because everybody told me that I wouldn't get in. So when I applied at college, all my teachers were like, "Don't apply, you're wasting a vote, like wasting one of your like applications on Loughborough because you won't get in." And I was like, again, not being arrogant, like I'm pretty smart. Like it wasn't like I wasn't educated. They said I wouldn't get in just based on the fact that because I only liked sport and didn't really like much else, I did like a BTEC diploma because it meant that I could do 9 lessons of sport. So I could just do sport all week. It was class. Literally, we like just played table tennis, like football, like we literally just played sport all week. It was sick. So because I did that, they were like, "Oh, you probably won't get in." But I did get in based on getting good results, but also based on like my football. So I told them like I played at semi-pro, I'd played in the FA Cup, like and stuff like that, and I got in. So I went to Loughborough because I felt like I had to, and I probably shouldn't in hindsight. We were chatting about this before with Josh, like, I didn't need to go to uni, but I did. And that's when I properly got into it because I basically played football for the Loughborough like uni team, didn't enjoy it. Started playing futsal, didn't enjoy it. Like the reason I didn't enjoy it is it was just so serious. Like the whole fun part of football just got sucked out of it. So yeah, basically just started training. Like properly was like, right, this is my everything now. So that was when I started like understanding nutrition, learning about the body, learning about anatomy. I'd spend like all my free time watching videos, learning, watching like Mike Thurston and stuff on YouTube, like learning how to train different body parts. And then I'd like find more educational videos and then I'd go deep dive even further and go onto like Google Scholar and find studies and shit. And yeah, just like fell in love with it, fell in love with training, saw like loads of progress. At this point, I was getting like loads of steroid accusations from people back at home because like I literally was just like committing to it fully. Um,
Were you
yeah,
fin for the UK by this point?
I was, yeah, by this point, I'd probably just about started Instagram. So I was in a relationship like in that gap year, and for like the first year of uni, I was in a relationship. Um, and that like held me back because it was like she was almost like not in anything she was doing wrong, but like I felt like she was like judging me about training and like you know how people do, they just think like, oh, what are you doing that for? Or
Yeah.
like you love yourself or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck it. Like I broke up with her and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do this. And I like committed to it. Made FitFin UK, and did like pretty well. I think I worked up to like 10,000 followers in maybe a couple of years or something. Maybe less,
Quite
maybe like
good for
yeah,
Instagram, especially at the time because it's not as big as it is now, and
yeah.
you
And
can
like then
easily
it
like
wasn't
this.
really like
There was
obviously
no reels.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
no reels. It wasn't like the TikTok and social media age now. So anyway, yeah, like I was FitFin UK. And like my content back then was literally just like it wasn't even like training clips really. It was literally just like photos of me and like jokey captions, but then some educational stuff. Like a lot of it was just like
In the toilet with a big fat pump, topless,
yeah, a lot
smashing
of it
into
was
the
like a bit of a
sunbeds, and
piss
you're just sitting
take.
like a wee shot like that with your
Yeah,
arm.
yeah, mate. Like every photo was like Craig Goliath. So I was doing a
Yeah.
Craig Goliath. But yeah, like I at the time I've said this on the other podcast before, but I was working like three jobs and I was at uni and I was training and stuff. And like I just learned how to be busy and learned how to like optimize my time because I wanted to. And I really like my drive to succeed was like huge because like I basically had this like epiphany where I was like, I can do whatever the fuck I want. I was like, I can be what I want to be. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, I think because I'd been told like, oh, you're too small or you're this or you're that when I was growing up. And I kind of just got to like a point where I realized like if I put my mind to it and if I actually put the work in, and I'd like found YouTubers who I could relate to because they just posted themselves on YouTube and made a living from it and from coaching and stuff. And I was like, I can do that. So yeah, I basically just started and cracked on from there. And that's I mean I've never really stopped from that point, but like I'd say my why then is very different to now. Like my why then was like I want to look good. Yeah, I still wasn't ever thinking about being a bodybuilder. It was like I want to look good. I want to be the best at this from like the people that I know and stuff like that. And like I don't want to be held back by my height and things like that. Which again, obviously I'm not small now, but like I was growing up.
I was gonna say, you keep talking about height, and I'm like significantly shorter than
Yeah,
you. And I'm
mate. Honestly, though, I was like five. I was literally like 5 foot until I was like 16. Like I was really small, and then like I had like a growth spurt, and I probably grew like to where I am now in the space of a year. And for that year as well, I was awful at football because I couldn't keep up with my body, and my knees were killing for literally like that whole growth spurt. Like I was
like,
in
yeah,
pain.
Osgood Slatter's disease or whatever it's
Yeah,
called.
mate. I was honestly like, my mates were like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "It must be the growth spurt because I can't play football." I was so bad, and then luckily like I caught up with it. But yeah, so like my why now is very different. I'd say my why now is like based on my business, based on like you guys, based on our team and our clients, like setting an example to the team and for my mental health as well. Like I really like Josh was saying, like I love training and it makes me feel way better in myself and seeing myself make progress is a great feeling and like yeah competing and you know wanting to better myself competitively as well but like I would say that the biggest part of my why is like you know having that purpose and you know actually doing myself and my team proud and setting a good example um which you know at times when especially when like you're going through like tough times like having that is like massive like I think obviously you always want to hold yourself accountable to yourself but like if you have a team of people working with you and if you have a bunch of clients who put their trust in you I've got to show up every day. I've got to set an example and be the coach that people are proud of and who people are actually sort of inspired by. Yeah, that's like a big thing for me. So yeah, that's me. Sorry, Noah, that was longer than I thought it'd be.
No, not at all. I'll
Right,
keep short and
I'm going
snappy.
for a
I
wee.
would want to be like some mad like Batman type of guy where like his full bloodlines get murdered and
Cool. I'm still in my villain
need
arc, mate.
All right, I'm
vengeance.
going for a wee. Don't get. You can start, but don't get into all the juicy stuff yet.
Juicy stuff. Fucking pick me on words. So I had, I played football growing up, to a decent standard. Like I was, where is it? Don't
Always
want to
get
flex, don't want to flex, but we
inside.
are Scottish Cup champion, Scottish Cup
Oof.
champion.
Who did you play
I
for
only,
all the Scottish people?
huh?
Who did you play for the local people?
I played for Pollock. I played for Barhead Reds. I played for Arthurlie. I was on trial for St Mirren for about 6 months. And fun fact, I got asked about going to the Netherlands to play football at
Wow.
a football tournament. Matt, do you know Groningen?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I was playing a tournament and we beat them 2-0 and I saved a penalty and kept a clean sheet. And they're like, "Oh." I don't
Oh,
know how
who's
to do
this
that
guy?
accent, but they were talking about that, and I obviously didn't go to. I don't even know where Groningen is, but I never ended up going. But I mean, that's a cool thing to think about what could have been. So yeah, I played football to a decent standard, and loved it to bits. But I've got knees made of cat piss. Like they've always been awful. They've been popping, clicking since I was growing up, and I ended up hurting myself quite bad in what year was it? 2018 in the Scottish Cup. I think it was like fucking round of 16 or something like that. I've punted the ball, and as I've punted it, just something in my knees just went oing, and I've went down. I'm like, fuck this. So I went to get it done, and it was just in bad pain. So I was like, fuck this. I'm sacking it off. I can't. It's just not going. I was always getting some sort of knocker issue with my knee, so I was like, sack this. Um, so then after that, like growing up, I was always dead skinny, like soaking wet 50 kilograms. Same as Finn. I was growing up in a place called Newton Mearns, which was quite a posh area. And then I moved to Paisley, which is a bit more of a shithole. So I moved there, and obviously I think I was like under 5 foot until third year, because there was a right short girl in my year, and I was the same height as her, and obviously I was built like absolutely nothing. So I was like, right, I'm just gonna get bullied the fuck out of here, because I already got picked on in the posh school. So I thought, right, this isn't gonna this isn't gonna go well in the rough one. So then
Oh,
got.
tell me about peeing yourself.
Oh, fuck off! Why are you saying that already? So, um,
I
so
thought you were going to talk about the story where his mates came round and he was.
Oh,
Oh,
listen,
brilliant.
the people listening to this will realize I've got a lot of lore, a lot of stories. Anyway, I ended up being fine in school. I didn't get picked on in my at next high school because obviously I was good at football. And then I stopped playing football, and then I started like getting quite unhealthy. Like with our school, like you'd walk 2 minutes up the road, and you'd get. I don't know if you've got it in anywhere else, but you get for £1 you'd get a quarter of a pizza deep fried in batter,
What do
and
you
you'd get
call
a
it, by the
cup.
way?
Huh?
I'm wondering what would they call that? Do you know what that is?
That's not a thing here.
Pizza
it's not,
crunch.
yeah.
We pizza
Uh,
crunch,
Pizza
pizza
crunch.
crunch. So you'd get a
Oh,
quarter of a pizza dunked in batter and then deep fried, and you'd get a cup of like noodles for £1. So
coconut.
yeah, cocoa noodles. So I'm going through like a whole
Brilliant.
thing of noodles and a quarter pizza crunch, sometimes half a pizza deep fried every single day. And before I know it, I'm getting quite fat. Like my pals are then starting to like poke my belly when I'm sat in class. Like just like and I remember my last year at high school, they were doing this thing with like they'd pinch me and they'd be like, oh, I get 3 points for the belly, 5 points for the neck, shit like that, right? And I was like, right, this is bad. But I so yeah, I ended up like starting to get unwell, and then back fucking hell, I'm going into the deep stuff now. So my dad passed away all of a sudden in 2019. And then from that, I was kind of like, what the fuck am I doing? And then just under 2 months later, my friend was killed. And then from that point, I was like, didn't know what I was doing. And the rest of that year, like 2019, I don't remember anything. Like, whenever you're going through a kind of like grief, you're just kind of caught up in a blur trying to piece together what you can. And pretty much every day, it was just fast food because my mum loves to cook, but as she was grieving, she wasn't able to. And then when I didn't know anything about how to cook or anything like that, and I was dealing with it, so I wasn't cooking either, and it was the easiest, most convenient way. So before I knew it, like I say, I was about 55, 50 kilograms when I was playing football. I got up to like 90 kilograms with no muscle, and I'm not far off of it now. I'm not very different muscle wise now, but like I had no muscle. I had no muscle at the point, 90 kilograms. I had a gut. So lockdown came, and I was like, thank fuck, because it gave me just time to do something. Don't get me wrong, I was like Matt, I was like staying up until 6 in the morning playing Warzone, and we ended up introducing like club nights, like one Saturday or every Saturday we'd have like drunk FIFA. So
Oh yes, we used to do that as
And
well.
oh, it was
bottle of
amazing.
Mad Dog and just
So
sit playing.
we would set our phone up and we'd do like a walkout. So we'd find a song for the mate. Have I not told you about this?
No.
It's the fucking bet. It's the highlight of my life. So every Saturday at 7 o'clock, we wouldn't play, and you weren't allowed to play unless you put your video in the group chat. So we all had a different outfit, a different song, and a different drink for the night. And everyone had like different positions. So I played FIFA Street, so I know all the skill moves. So my thing was if you do a stupid skill, you have to take a drink. If you do this, you drink. If we score, concede, win, lose possession, get the ball out the park, you have to drink, right? And we all done it on FaceTime so we could see if someone's drinking or not, right? So by the second game's gone, we're fucked. We're absolutely bladdered. But we're doing that. But between every Saturday, I would do, you remember like John Terry hit training? Like 30-minute sprints on the treadmill, max incline, max speed, 30 seconds, stop for 30 seconds and go again. I was doing like 15 rounds of that. And then I was doing like a 5 kilometer on my treadmill. And I wouldn't eat carbs. So I didn't know anything about training or anything like that. I didn't eat any carbs. There's photos on my Snapchat because this was when I was trying to lose the weight of like prawn sandwiches, but the sandwich was actually just a lettuce leaf on top of a lettuce leaf. So it was like proper like eating disorder. Um, and I ended up losing like I say all the body fat, a good amount of the body fat, but I was just skin and bone by the end of it. So at that point, I one of the coaches got back in contact with me from football because I'd started a fitness account on Instagram, being like, "This is me trying to get lean and try and get into better shape." And he was like, "Listen, there's an opportunity for you to play with like an under 20s at a junior side." So fucking all right. So I got an offer to play for Arthurlie under 20s, so I went to there. Um, and like I came back and obviously I hadn't played football in a couple of years. Just before I'd stopped playing, I was with the West of Scotland. I had trials at Scotland. Like I was decent, and then I got back and I was playing, enjoying it. But then all of a sudden it started to mess up with the gym because as lockdown eased, I was like, right, okay, so I'm in college. How do I manage my time? College, I say I'm in college. It was on Zoom at the time. But for whatever reason, I still don't drive. So I would finish football training at like 9 o'clock, go home, eat my meals, then walk about 45 minutes to the gym, get to the gym at 11 o'clock at night, spank about 400, 500 milligrams of caffeine, right? Hard style, Gymshark stringer on, and I'm
This is rough.
squatting reps, not reps in reserve, 1 rep max, 3 weeks, 3 days in a row, like constantly squat 1 rep max, squat 1 rep max, loving it. And I absolutely like adored training at that point. I was getting home at like 3 in the morning for college at 9, not getting to sleep until 5. Like it was just because I loved the gym. I was like, fuck it, I'll go. So ended up doing that, and then I was like, you know what? It's not sustainable training at football, eating like an absolute pig, then going to train and coming home high as a kite off of pre-workout when I've got college. Because I joined the call on Zoom turn my camera off, turn my mic off, and just sleep. So I don't know if you'd ever been on calls like when everyone's left, it's like, oh, if anyone wants to ask any questions, just hang around at the end. So every single time the lecture's like, hello, Noah, have you got a question? And I'll just be on the other end hatching his head. But I end up realizing like it's not helpful. I'm not really enjoying football the same now. And especially like once my dad passed, like it was harder to get back into it. He was the reason I got into football in the start. So for me, like obviously going over and seeing him and my granddad at my games was a big thing for me. And then not having him there, I was just kind of like, fuck this, it's not for me. So then yeah, I tried to get into the gym, but again, my eating wasn't great. And I still kind of had that like issue with eating. I'd always struggled with it. I didn't like, I was actually, I don't know if you guys know this, I was in obviously around about that story when my pals walked in. I was in and out, like I was having to go to hospital because of like eating disorders. I was in therapy because of it, like back when I was like 10, 11 years old.
What was it you done, sorry, to end up actually getting in that situation again? What was it you didn't? No, you just didn't shit for ages because you weren't eating or something.
Are you trying to make it look like a fanny in this?
No, I'm just saying like
You remember fine fucking well what it was. You remember fine well. Right. I'm
Anyway,
not getting into it, but um, if you know, you know. But
I'm sure. Some
um, yeah, I had always like struggled with food, and to be fair, like even my mental, like it was never fantastic. And then I definitely turned to training as a way to help me with that, and especially through lockdown, it was one of the better times, even though it was pretty shit for a lot of other people. And then coming out of that towards we'd started working together Finn in like September, October time, 2021. And then around it was February time, me and my girlfriend at the time, so my ex now, we'd split up quite out of the blue, and I ended up like finding myself in a
Remember
place
that?
where I was like,
I
huh?
remember, I remember you messaging me about that. I was training.
Yeah,
I remember I was in Evo. I think it would have been a Saturday morning.
yeah, it was Saturday.
Yeah, I remember.
Um, it was Saturday morning, and any of that happened, and I ended up getting myself into a place where like I was making sure I was out drinking every weekend to try and like deal with it, and I got to the point where like I was having nights where I was like really not handling things well, making bad fucking choices. And obviously I learned from it. And prep was like I think prep was 9 weeks later. Prep was not far afterwards, and I sat myself down. I was like, right, this is coming at the most perfect time because I'm starting to lose that kind of focus because everything just started overwhelming. And whenever you lean on someone when you're going through shit, because obviously she was like my support system at the time. When I didn't have that, and then she'd gone, I was like, "Holy shit! Like, what am I meant to do?" And I found myself completely lost. But then prep like completely gave me that structure, that routine. Bang, 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 bang. Do this, eat this, do this. Check in at this time. Do that. Do these steps and the stuff. Like I remember telling people like what my expenditure was, like the 25K steps with like the 10 kg in my bag, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. Going out for walks in the morning, with like
Pokemon Go.
yeah, Pokemon Go, playing music, and just having that time to myself and working on myself. Like it done me so much good. And then like coming on from that, I suppose my why is kind of just, I want to leave. Like I want stories. Like I want to be able to look back at my life and not fucking regret anything. Like I've learned from obviously like I'm 21 just now. I've learned fine well that like anything can be taken from you in an instant. Not to make things too deep, but it's true. Like my friend, she was 15. Like it's nuts. So I've learned just to fucking take what you can. So when it comes to like the travel, the training, like I don't.
Tell them about that. What did you do in terms of traveling? Why did you? Because people might know that you're dabbling a bit of, Japanese fucking educational content, and they're wondering
Yeah.
why is that? Like, when did that come around? Your prep as well. I thought you should talk about that because like it was pretty rough in terms of. I remember you tell me that you were like fainting the floor and stuff, and I was about to go into prep, and I was like, what am I getting myself into here?
I remember it was that.
Shit.
that Sunday, Finn.
Was that with the dog? Yeah. That was it. It was the prep was actually you
It was
managed it
good
really
until
well.
the last 2 weeks started to get a lot more rough. With that kind of like the iron was fucked. But in terms of like to get me around that, obviously with the food side of things, I tried to teach myself another language. So when I was at uni, I studied Spanish and French, and loved languages my whole life. I always wanted to like live in France when I was older. So when I was in P7, I remember trying to teach myself French. And I don't know what P7 would have been for you guys. I think I was like 11 years old, so I don't know what year that is.
Yeah, 7.
So year seven, I was like trying to teach myself French, and stuff like that. I loved it, and then tried to pick up Japanese as a way to take my mind away from the diet side of things. And then an opportunity came from one of my first ever clients to go to Japan, um, with his like whenever someone works for BA, you get like flexi cup tickets, so like staff tickets, 80% off. If there's space in the flight, you get on, and if there's space and there's an upgrade, you get the upgrade. So I went business class Japan, business class to Tokyo for £200, and it was insane. It was the best experience, and then from that, I had learned that right, okay, I love travel. That was my first ever holiday myself. I went to Japan, and I was what 19 years old at that point. So ever since then, I've caught a bug for traveling. Like coming back and being able to say like I got to bow with the deer. I got to go snorkeling with tortoises in Greece last year. Like being able to say these kind of stuff and have those memories and experiences, like it's something I want forever. So like me and Josh are going into railing. So he's gonna struggle considering if he
Probably
doesn't have his
Golden Day almost.
chicken wrap and potatoes, he's fucked. It's gonna be like eel soup in
Yeah.
Bosnia and, and stuff like that.
Just bring a
Um,
tons away.
mate,
Light blockers
cow
on.
tongue in
Fire
Serbia, you're
max, a
fucked.
dream sleep. Yeah. See how it goes.
Just have Digest Pro, mate, you'll be sound. Um, but apart, like, I just want to be able to look back at my life and not have regret. And then when it comes to training, like it's just such a good vice for me. Like being able to have somewhere I can expend my energy so I'm not sat there with enough energy to think about stuff going through my head. If I can exhaust myself in a training session, get more from it, and obviously build my physique, and I do have aspirations of competitive bodybuilding, obviously moving into men's physique 2026. But long term, I do want to compete in classic. Like I know genetically my legs are a little bit better, but because I've got gammy knees, it's a little bit harder at the moment. And that has taken away from my enjoyment of training recently. Like I was saying to Josh, like I've not been enjoying training that much recently, and it's because of my leg training.
It was
Um,
the same as me as well. Like my shoulder kind of fucked up as well, but like I couldn't hack squat as I usually would. I couldn't leg press at all because I couldn't hold myself down. I was
yeah.
like, God, this is boring.
Look
Like you,
at how
it
my
made
leg training's been for
yeah, exactly.
like
Just waiting on you, Matt. Just waiting on you to fuck up your legs or something.
yeah.
Yeah,
I'll,
well, my
I'll
back
do that
shit,
in
so
Barbie, mate.
Yeah, I know.
right, okay.
Odds. Poo
Like to
poo.
see you
Put me
try,
on
mate.
free sport or something.
But no, I suppose the training side of things is just really good for my mental. And obviously with the physique goals long term, it kind of goes hand in hand, I suppose. So yeah, it's a happy marriage between the two, but I think I've managed to not make that too
Yeah, it was
doom.
really good.
Yeah,
Very good. I think we
Yeah.
covered it all very well.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Did you like that episode, boys?
I
Yeah.
enjoyed.
I did.
I think
Learned a lot about you.
listeners will enjoy it as well.
Huh?
Maybe I think everyone that's listening will enjoy it. Maybe even put this one out onto the other socials as I get to know us type of thing. Because I
Especially
think,
all the stuff about Piad. Yeah.
Oh fuck.
yeah,
Maybe
maybe,
take
maybe
that
not.
out.
No, we can fuck it. We do what we want.
Maybe
If
not.
people know it, fucking who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Right, we'll wrap it up there. Thank you
Yeah.
all for watching. If we do put this out live, on when we say that, we mean like put it on Spotify and YouTube. These are the kind of podcasts that we're putting onto the Natural Physique Hub. We will be bringing out more educational ones. The first couple have just been like a kind of getting to know us, which has been nice. So, yeah, stay tuned, guys. Thank you all for watching, and we will catch you next time.
Peace.